Right now, somewhere you're annoyed the thermostat dropped 2 degrees. You grab a hoodie. Maybe you complain about it out loud. 40,000 years ago, a human being walked outside into 50 degrees below zero, wearing nothing but what they'd killed that morning. And they were fine. So how did a soft, hairless, tropical animal survive an ice age? The answer involves eating something that should have killed them, wearing something while it was still warm, and a piece of your own body that's been sitting there this whole time, waiting to save your life too. In 1918, an Arctic explorer named Hjalmar Stephenson, Hjalmar Stephenson, lived for months on almost nothing but lean rabbit meat. Plenty of food, plenty of calories, on paper. Within days, he was throwing up. Then the diarrhea started, and it didn't stop. He was getting weaker, while eating until he was full. Arctic hunters had already watched outsiders do this for 100 years. They had a name for it: rabbit starvation. You could eat and still starve to death if what filled you up wasn't fat. Here's why. Lean protein alone overwhelms what the liver can process. Doesn't matter how much you eat, the body can't run on it. Fat isn't a treat in the cold. Fat is the fuel. So when an Ice Age hunter finally made a kill, the meat wasn't the prize. The fat packed around the organs was pulled out raw, sometimes still warm, eaten on the spot, before anyone touched the muscle. And that was the easy part. For most of our history, our bodies barely changed, and neither did our odds. Neanderthals were actually built for this. Shorter, stockier, built to hold heat. We weren't. We were the same animal that evolved to sweat it out on a hot savanna. Then, somewhere around 40 to 60,000 years ago in Siberia, somebody carved a hole through a sliver of bone. Not an awl to punch through hide, a needle with an eye made to pull thread through hide and close the seam tight. That's the moment everything changes. Loose hide, draped over your shoulders, barely slows the cold. Hide sewn tight to your body traps a layer of warm air against your skin. That's the difference between a tent and a coat. We didn't outlast the cold. We outsewed it. That needle is the reason you're wearing something shaped to your actual body right now, instead of a sheet thrown over it. But clothing only fixes half the problem. Shelter was worse. Out on the open plains of Ice Age Ukraine, there were almost no trees. Nowhere close to enough would to burn all winter. So people built houses out of the one thing lying around in bulk: mammoths. At a site called Mazirik, archaeologists dug up a hut built from the bones of more than 60 of them. Skulls stacked into a foundation wall. Tusks arched overhead as a frame. The whole thing weighted down and sealed with hide and turf. People slept inside a dead animal skeleton to survive the same cold that killed it. And even that wasn't the real danger. The cold itself rarely killed people outright. Clothing, fire, stock, shelter, that held it off. What actually got people was math. By the tail end of winter, the stored fat was gone. The herds hadn't come back yet, and the body had already been eating its own reserves for months straight. Bioarchaeologists have a name for what that leaves behind permanently in bone and teeth. Hairless lines and enamel hypoplasia, scars from a body that started breaking itself down just to keep the brain and heart running. The kill didn't save you. Making it through that last month did. Right now, some part of you is thinking, sure, but that's them. Different kind of person. Basically, none of that's actually in me. That reflex, the one that just quietly filed all of this under ancient people problem, not mine, is wrong. In a very specific physical way. To be clear, you're not going to die if the heat cuts out for a night. We got insulation, heating, grocery stores stocked in February. Nobody's saying otherwise. But right now, buried in your neck and shoulders, is a tissue called brown fat. Different from the fat that stores energy, this kind burns it straight up to make heat without you shivering at all. People who actually get exposed to real cold keep more of it, active and on standby. It's not some leftover. It's a switch your body still has. Still wired for exactly the winters we just talked about. Ice Age equipment, still installed. Still yours. They didn't beat the cold by being tougher than it. They beat it by never stopping, sewing, building, eating fat before meat, making it through one more month.